was taken here, I think, with Mrs. Bach. I don't know. See, this is Holodomor. And these are all the films that were used for Harvest of Despair, still on the old
Wow.
technology that is now endangered because it has to be digitized, otherwise it's disintegrating very quickly. But we're looking for funding to do that. And what else? Now these are the documents that we have collected, copies of archival documents from British, German and Italian archives. So this is all material that deals with Holodomor. Now here is the material that was collected, and you can see that it's a much smaller amount because the cassettes are much more compact. For our second film, the Ukraine between Hitler and Stalin. And these are the video cassettes, and of course we don't have the films anymore, just video and documents that were collected for the film. Now what we have here is our very valuable oral history collection. Okay.
Sure.
This is a very valuable oral history collection. These are the interviews recorded on video cassettes. Most of these people are not with us anymore because we started assembling that in 1980s, and of course most of them are not with us anymore. So these are the videos, and these are the audio recordings. We were not able to tape everyone on video, so we did oral history, and here are over 400 audio recordings, plus the collection that we just did last year, which is the Sharing the Story, which is the Holodomor collection. This was done last year on a special project, Sharing the Story, which is on the website now, on the internet. So it's over well, close to 1,000 recordings. We have 1,000 hours of audio recording with various people, various groups of people. Holodomor was our first group, and then Second World War. And the Second World War encompasses Divizia Halichina, UPA, people that saved Jews during the Holocaust in Ukraine, various military formations like the Ukrainians in the Canadian Armed Forces, Ukrainians in Anderson Army, in Vlasov Army. We have not too many of those, but we have several. Well, also, yes, we have also a collection on Akcja Wisla, those Ukrainians that were deported from their native lands into, well, various parts of Soviet Union or Poland. So this is about it. Now, this is a very valuable collection. This is all on Divizia Halichina. These are the copies of various official documents. So this is the Halichina. Now, one more thing I'd like to mention. Spomene, memoirs. There are many people that have written their memoirs. They were not published, or they were not even publishable, but they contain very important material. They contain people's recollections, remembrances of World War II events and other important historical events. So we collect them. Families usually give them to us, or people, when they feel that they want to part with them, they give them to us. They're not for publication, but they are valuable research material for scholars, for students to research. Photographs, we have a substantial collection of photographs, various photographs, and also personal archives, which is something, again, that we would like to get more of. Documents, personal documents of various people give them to us. We have just received recently, Mr. Terlecki passed away, and last week actually we got his archive, which contains various documents issued still by Austro-Hungarian Empire, later Poland, Soviet Union, Germany, and later in Canada, and DP camps in Canada. So it's sort of the whole history, Ukrainian history of the 20th century, in documents, in personal documents, birth certificates, wedding certificates, university documents, and so on. So this is something that we also would like people to bring to us and for safekeeping, and they constitute a very valuable material also. What else can I tell you? So this is more or less old photographs, anything that can be sort of... Funding is crucial, because if we don't have funding, we cannot exist. And we would have to either transfer this material somewhere or destroy it or what, and that would be just a tremendous loss. So funding is very, very crucial. Funding for the institution is such, because in order to do projects, we have like 5 projects going on, but in order to do those projects, the institution has to exist, and we have to have the existence fundings. Very few people understand that. But even if we apply to for government grants, which we did like last year, and we received for sharing the story, taping the interviews with the Holodomor survivors. So in order to apply for some kind of a grant or some kind of to do a project, the institution has to be viable. It has to exist. It has to have funding for its existence. So funding is, I would say, crucial. And then people, volunteers, because we cannot afford paid personnel. If we had more money, we could, which would be excellent. So volunteers, people that are willing to come, like you see now today, we have a whole group of volunteers. We have up to 15 people that come on Tuesdays and help with the organization of the archives, sorting, listening to videos and audios, making summaries of them, and cataloging, and so on. So volunteers are very important too. And materials, to get really people not to throw out anything. Let us throw it out if we don't see any value of it. But basically, especially when family members pass away, there is a tendency to throw everything out. Sure. And that is really a shame. So we would like to have all personal documents. Personal. People come and say, "Oh, do you want my passport?" Or say, "Yes, of course we do." Passports, birth certificates, everything, any personal. Actually, I should mention, we had a visitor from Ukraine just lately, Mrs. Matiash, who actually made a description of our archives later on and published it. And she was amazed when she saw the personal documents, because this is something that was not saved in Ukraine. People were, well, for various reasons, as we know, safety and fear and so on, just did not save their documents. So there are very, very few personal documents from earlier days, like even Soviet documents people didn't save. We have, for example, very interesting Ostarbeiter, the people that were forced laborers in Germany, documents. They're very valuable, and they reflect the history. They illustrate the historic events, the life of these people and the history of Ukraine. So these are the 3 priorities, I would say: money, people, and material documents. Okay, the first project that we have just completed, and we haven't finished it, it's sort of in the process, is the Holodomor. The survivors, the people that survived Holodomor. There are very few of them, but we're still recording them, we're still collecting. Now I would like to continue that project with another accent. I would like to emphasize the children and the grandchildren of Holodomor survivors. What do they know? And sort of try and start and get information from them. How they found out about Holodomor, when they found out, from whom they found out, and how their knowledge of Holodomor developed as their parents were the survivors or grandparents. So this is the Holodomor project is an ongoing project, and we hope to continue it as long as we can, because I think this is something very, very important. The second project is the events of the Second World War. And here there are several aspects. There's the Divizia Haliciana, which we just had a very successful evening, presenting the material documents, presenting some of our videos, some of our interviews, documents, and so on. So this is our second project, I would say, within the Second World War that we're doing. And it's a third project, which we hope to start with the new year. We're still waiting for funding, and that is the Ukrainian Jewish encounter, I would say, but from the point of view of Ukrainians, how Ukrainians helped and saved the Jewish people during the Holocaust in Ukraine. As you know, there is a lot of negative interpretation and the participation of Ukrainians in the Holocaust. And we would like to look at the positive side, see how Ukrainians helped the Jews and how even many of them paid with their lives. We have some records, they were collected in Ukraine, families that were shot together with the Jewish families because they were saving them. And I think that is a very, very important material that we would like to collect. So these are sort of the three main topics now, but we're also continuing with UPA, we're also continuing with Akcja Wisla material, so everything pertaining to the Second World War.